Looks like we have a rather thin agenda, but please feel free to add to it. Oh, hey, Andy.
Hey Larry, I was talking to AJ the other week and he said that this was a fun place to be and encouraged me to come by. So,
Oh, we have a blast. It's good you're here because we assigned a ticket to you.
oh, you did. Okay.
I'll describe it in a minute.
Okay.
Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? We have I don't see Eric, but
There was a message in Slack indicating that he's gonna be offline. I think from the Monday to Wednesday
okay, I
to
missed.
yeah to Wednesday, I think.
So the infrastructure issue is yours, I think.
Yes. So uh, I don't have visibility, but it seems like the token is expire. But yeah. So that's something that I wanted to kind of double check. I sent a message to you and Eric to see what's going on with that. But the token was working fine all the way to 2 weeks ago, but for some reason last week it stopped working. Uh, is there a way to kind of like automate that, to automate the renewal instead of kind of going through this kind
Yeah,
of quite often?
take that up with Eric. I mean, even the renewal of the certs doesn't seem to work. You
Yeah,
know,
that's the other part that I want to mention. Yeah.
and this was a constant struggle back when DAF was managing it. It always tripped for some reason. It
Hmm.
may just be I have no idea. All right, so the token renewal issue, possibly take it up with Eric. Not much we can resolve here, I think.
But in this specific case, do I have to open a ticket or every time that happens these kind of situations, or
Yeah, I mean,
because
you would like maybe that not to be the case, but it seems to be the case that we need to open tickets with Eric because that's how he manages his workload. And if he can't do it, someone else should pick it up on his behalf.
okay.
That's LF ticket up here.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I just occasionally small things come up and Eric's responsive on Slack, and that's great if it happens. I tend to file the ticket and mention it on Slack in case that it can be resolved trivially, and then he will do that. But yeah, for having it on the record, I'd file the ticket.
Okay.
Um, all right, so on ramp, it's still the same atomics issue. For those that don't know, the atomics website went away, where the chart registry was. I don't know why that happened. It has something to do with probably, I don't know, something maybe it had been owned by Intel. I can't be sure why it went away, but it
Mm,
did. So Jordan is engaged. He reinstantiated a registry for the atomics charts on GitHub where the source is. He populated it with the latest charts. We've modified OnRamp to know where to go look for the registry. But when we look, we don't find the version of the charts that we expect. We only find the most recent charts. We've tried the most recent charts and they don't work. Ultimately, that needs to be debugged. But I was hoping that we could get the old chart. I forget the number, 1119 maybe. I forget. I got the number quite right. Um, and we've, you know, Jordan is, he's got a day job, but he was hoping to get to it. Hopefully this doesn't take too much longer, but you can't install anything that depends on atomics, which includes SD-RAN and the rock. Does anyone else know anything that's helpful?
Um,
I don't know anything
I-
that's helpful on this. It's just a question about where this is going to land. So I guess there was an old website that I was not aware of or had totally forgotten about. And I'm not sure who was hosting it. So is there some new website that has to front end this and host it?
Well, he's publishing the charts on GitHub. So
Hmm,
using the the GitHub's publish
got it.
capability, github.io. The URL is down here. Yeah, atomics, github.io, chartsatomics.io works. Unfortunately, the version that we need is not there.
Got it. Thanks.
And there are people that have it stashed in local repos. Someone on Slack reported that they tried to use the local version and it didn't work. I don't know if anyone, if any of you have tried that and have any feedback on it, I think it'd be helpful. But this person, I have no idea how controlled the experiment was and exactly what went wrong.
well, I actually, I don't know if it is the same person, but somebody contacted me. He also posted on the Slack the kind of the workaround that he had. What he was saying is that he cloned the charts locally, and I think version 2.0.0 wasn't there, but he was able to get version 1.1.2, I believe, but using local charts.
Right, that's what I was trying to describe, and it didn't work for him, right?
He said that it worked for him.
It did or did not?
It did.
Oh, I thought I remember seeing a comment that it didn't work.
No. He did. Let's see, because because I asked him to share the changes that he made to see whether that's something that we can replicate directly in OnRamp. And let's see. He sent me some message.
Yeah,
change the
I
field.
remember the exchange, and it was in the unwrap repo, right? Or worker.
Yeah, but after that, he sent a message to me, a private message, and then basically confirmed. But because he said that he was able to make it work, but he had issues with deploying the KPI Mon X app, and that he had to manually install that part. So,
Right, so what I'm looking at, maybe this is the same. This is Ahmed. He said,
yes, Ahmed.
Atomics 1.1.2 is available at GitHub. I tried a local Helm repo and modified OnRamp to install to use the local chart, but this not only failed, it disrupted a majority of pods in the cube system. This was on Thursday.
Okay, give me 1 sec.
This is the OnRamp.
No. This is another person. So if you go to Kenji, Kenji. In the general community, in the general chat for the, in the channel, in general channel, that's what he mentioned about that.
There it is. Oh, this
Kenji,
is okay for SD-RAN, which should be the same.
Yeah, it's basically related to the same issue with the atomics, basically.
Right. All right, so if I go down and reply, I'm looking at my own. I don't have it on screen, but
yeah, so there is one of the replies that it's at 6:29 p.m. based on my local time Tuesday. It says, "Hi folks, we have managed to install the SD-RAN. However, we have to download the local charts and manually modify the path to the directory where the local charts were unzipped. We updated the path in the following archives, blah, blah, blah. There was an issue that the AXApp KPI Mon was not installed during the process, so we had to clone it again and do the manual installation. So I can put the link, copy this link to that specific comment in here.
yeah. Thanks for putting in.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Yeah. Well, let me jump to it because then everybody can see it. I'm not going to go through that. All right, so we have evidence that it will work. It also would say to me that if we could just get Jordan to grab the very same archived chart and stick it in his registry, we wouldn't have to change anything else.
Correct. Yep.
All right, so this seems resolvable. We just got to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. I mean, there's been plenty of hit and miss here just because Jordan hasn't been plugged into here. We've got his old Open Networking Foundation email, yada, yada, yada. It's just been a slow process. All right, so I'm going to make note. Why am I not?
Probably update the document because I put okay,
Thank you.
now it is updated.
All right. It has worked to grab the 112 chart from GitHub source. Jeez. All right, good. I'm really happy that Jordan is being helpful here. He does say that it would be also helpful if we got someone that's more active in Aether to take some ownership here so he's not on the hook. We'll try to figure something out. All right, so let's move on to the core.
Give me just 1 second. I'm adding a couple more things. And the last one is okay. So that's what I remember so far. So yeah, there are a few things that we have been doing. One is the core network has kind of like several dependencies that were really all outdated or not even maintained anymore or even archived. So we basically start the process of kind of like replacing the outdated libraries or packages with newer packages, or some of those packages that several years ago were required. Some of that kind of like same functionality is now supported by the Go standard library. So we replace of all of that stuff. So there are a few more that need to go to a newer versions. However, that kind of like, for example, the Mongo driver, there is version 2 already there. However, we cannot go there because it is going to trigger lots of changes across the code base. So I'm waiting for that kind of change in version upgrade, so major version upgrade to do after the whole 3GPP release upgrade is completed. Otherwise, it's going to be a headache to do this kind of consolidation of different changes from two different places. So far, we are also working on the 3GPP release upgrade to release 18. So far, most of the network functions are completed. So there is only a couple changes that need to be done in the PCF. So there is a couple of structs that doesn't exist anymore. So I'm kind of comparing the old code base with the new changes based on the new structs, what is available on the new release, to update it. So that would be from the changes perspective. So after these two files are modified and the issues are addressed, I need to start doing the whole testing. So, but because of the whole structure of how the code is different. So the original plan that we had was just to replace, let's say, the SMF to make it run with the release 18 and then the rest of the components with the previous release. But I don't think that is gonna work because the code how is being handled by OpenAPI is completely different. So we may need to kind of run a test with all these changes together. But yeah, so we continue having some progress. So hopefully this week we can finalize the PCF issues, address those PCF issues, and then start kind of doing start running tests for everything. Then some additional kind of cleanup in the all the NFs. We have a group that is called 5GC maintainers, which basically have the privileges to review and approve PRs. But for the UPF, we have also an additional group that is called UPF EPC maintainers, but I don't think that's needed anymore. Such that we have same groups across all the different NFs on the SD core. So the group this group UPF EPC maintainers that was not used anymore, so was removed from there. The other part that I was kind of like mentioning here was that all the other 4G network functions were marked as an archive. That's something that was mentioned. I think we discussed last week. We agreed to do that. So basically, that's something that was completed right after the meeting, and everything that is related to 4G. So it's marked as archive. So everybody knows that there is no active development on the 4G side. Yeah, I think that's everything from the core so far. And I don't know whether Ajay has anything to add to this.
AJ?
Yeah. Hey, Gabriel, I'm just starting on the M3 IWF SCTP load balancer thing, whatever you have assigned
Oh,
to me.
great. Perfect. Okay, that would be wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah. Just started working on it. Yeah. Just today morning.
that's nice. Cool. Yeah, hopefully we can have that so we can re-enable it again by default. So,
Yeah.
we continue using that capability. Otherwise, it's gonna get lost,
Yeah.
and outdated. So
So
that's great.
since we have both AJ and Bala on, whatever happened to the pull requests and the changes to integrate the Tegra scalability capabilities into the core?
There was a pause because I did make some pull requests, but I was asked to chunk it out. I did make some chunking it, like make it smaller PRs, but I went for internship and it got paused. So I think that's on my plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was asked by another research team if they could get access to it. I'd point them at your archive paper.
Oh, okay. Let me in that case, like, okay, let me speed it up.
I wanted to add, if I could jump in here without messing this up. Okay. Is there anything else in the core?
I don't think at the moment that's kind of the most relevant part. Again, the only thing that we have pending from the PRs, primary PRs that we have open, is the iOS MCM team to support multiple DNNs for the UPF or pair slice actually. So that's something that is still pending, and we haven't heard back from the iOS team. And they say they have mentioned that they have been busy, but yeah, so that's something that's pending, but it's not. That's something that we cannot do that much.
Okay. Anything else? I don't believe we have anything on the SD-RAN. Other topics?
So regarding the SD-RAN and what Simon mentioned last week about the Okudu being awarded to SRS-RAN and the other company that I don't remember what was the name. DeepSeek. So at least from this year, the work that we were doing on integrating the SD-RAN with SRS-RAN, we know that we have this issue about the multi-TLNA. I suspect there's not much work that's going to be done on the SD-RAN because it will be a good opportunity since we know that it's going to, Okudu is SRS-RAN. So that would be a good opportunity for the SD-RAN to gain some traction on that side.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about what SRS RAN is using for a neo real-time RIC.
Also, in our case, we had the SRS-RAN had their own version of OSC RIC, release I, but they don't kind of maintain it that often, at least from the SRS-RAN perspective. And that's why basically after we were unable to use the SD-RAN RIC because of these issues with the TLNA, I had to use the SRS-RAN version of the OSC RIC. So,
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what would compel SRS RAN to switch RICs to the SD RAN.
well, they have to maintain it. They have to maintain the OSC RIC that they are using because this is kind of like a custom version they had to use. But and on top of that, that's something that we did probably around like March, April last year. And when March, April this year. And when I try to, since they are primarily concentrated on the GNODB, CUDU, they start making lots of changes. And when I tried again around like June, July, that OSC version that they have didn't actually work with SRS RAN. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's an interesting question here, I guess. So SRS RAN or Okudu did, raise funding. They have like 1.5 to 2 years to do a bunch of work and then to drop the results into open source.
Mm-hmm.
It raised something like $30 million.
Yep.
And that is presumably going to fund a set of developers who kind of work on all the components to put together a fully functional stack. So they're in the best position to support any of the components and to put in the custom work. And it's really a matter of them, selecting the components. And I don't have visibility into what components they've selected or they're still considering. It would be an interesting discussion to have. I could dig around. I don't have a strong relationship there. I've been introduced to their SRS RAN people and whatnot. But I don't know, is anybody here in a position to have any visibility into what components they've selected? I guess there's even a question of the core. I don't know if it matters, but this might be applicable for SD core as well. I mean, technically, Okudu, of course, is the RAN component, but they're probably putting together an end-to-end solution.
Well, I would
Yes.
start having the core, them use our core would be a big win. I mean, we talked about that 2 weeks ago that we wanted to
Correct. Yeah.
nudge
So
whoever we could nudge in that direction.
Yeah, that would be great because the other part is at least in the SRS RAN repository. Yes, if you take a look into the Docker for their deployment, right? So they primarily use Docker for their deployment, and they have Open5JS integrated as part of their deployment.
Right, that's right. I do remember talking about this. So, does anybody here have a good relationship with an SRS RAN person?
Nope.
No. I know, Larry, you kind of were at that meeting when we first learned about SRS RAN a couple of years ago. You were at some government. Remember that
conference meeting? Yeah, there was one guy that showed up from SRS RAN. Most of it was remote. No, I don't have any.
So,
Yeah.
So the work that we're doing right now, that basically, is Ether along with SRS RAN, right? I think from that side, at least I don't know whether Christian knows that, but But we know a few people that are having in contact with them, especially when I was facing the issue with the rig, right? Integrating the SD-RAN the SD-RAN with the SRS RAN. So I had a few email exchange with them to try to kind of figure out what the issue was. But I know that basically the people that we're working with, they are very interested in kind of having Ether and SRS RAN work together. But I guess the ultimate goal will be the Okudo. But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe have a call with Christian, because I don't see Christian here, or maybe he's on the phone.
Yeah, he's on the participant list, but he's not.
Yeah, I think he received a phone call, so that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, Gabriel. Do you want to follow up with Christian and ask? Because I do think maybe your connection and you're using SRS RAN with your project, is with the Navy project.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably the best point of contact and leverage, both, to just speak with them. And I guess just start off with a question. I'm kind of curious. I mean, I'm making some presumptions about their working model, like, kind of putting together a quote unquote blueprint of all the components and then hardening that. And then the question about what core and what RIC they're using.
Mm-hmm.
But it's getting them to move to SD-RAN RIC. Right now, you're saying, hey, the OSC one is not supported. Well, the SD-RAN RIC is not really. There isn't a whole team behind it right now, kind of moving it from
Correct.
other,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
neither is better than the other right now. And from what I understand of OSC is that they are also kind of in a funding slowdown kind of state. I heard that Ericsson seems to be backing off their commitment to doing SMO and non-real-time RIC work and commitments, and their budget is getting probably cut. And that OSC is also contemplating and looking at maybe rolling in under LFN in some timeline. I'm not sure what timeline. I think these are things that were discussed in that sort of open source working group meeting that was held in New Hampshire, University of New Hampshire.
Okay.
So, I think that, all the components are kind of starved for resources right now, frankly, except Okudu,
Yep.
right? Okudu is the most well-funded component. And so they're going to have the money and a 2-year burst of activity and selecting their pieces. And it's, for the benefit of our projects, it would be great if they select, because that would add additional investment for the projects. So now's the time, or maybe it's even a little late, but still late, better now than never to kind of reach out and at least learn what they're doing and then maybe try and nudge them in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Because the other part, if I'm not mistaken, the Open5GS license is AGPL, right? So Afero basically. How is that license looking like from the Linux Foundation perspective? Is that part of their acceptable licenses, or
So that's
I don't know whether from the license perspective we may have an advantage over Open5GS.
Well, and so that's an excellent point. I think that's probably something, or at the very least, Linux Foundation is going to be interested in assembling for Okudu, a solution that's based on Linux Foundation projects, and Linux Foundation is putting its muscle behind SD Core. And so, that's well aligned. I think, there may be some, that may already be underway, a little push to kind of use SD Core.
Yeah.
I can ask Arpit these questions. I can pursue that angle. And I think if you guys
Yeah,
pursue
that would be.
that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. I will take an action.
I'm not going to talk to Christian when he is free, because right now he said that he's on a phone call.
Okay, anything else? All right, thanks everybody. See you again in a couple
Thank
weeks.
you.
Bye.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Oh.
Right, bye everyone.